Damn FM receiver's broken. Nothing but meaningless garbage. I can't even plug in my phone anymore because Apple took away my thing. Good morning, friends. On today's episode of whatever this is, I'm going to make this car tolerable again. I ripped out the Honda Civic racing seats, replaced the Need for Speed Underground steering wheel with an almost factory-correct wheel. If any of you third-gen experts are out there, you'll spot my mistake. And the only remaining artifact of early 2000s car culture is this head unit. It was installed before the invention of USB or Bluetooth or class, and today we're gonna fix it. We're also gonna fix this non-existent nighttime rear visibility. Someone tinted the rear and side windows with 1% film or gloss black paint, not really sure which. So this is how we back up at night. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee.
Jesus, take the
You know, I could have easily just phoned in the sound effect for the bit, but I had to go and have integrity. It could have been worse. That tint sure looks awesome, though. They're gonna notice this. Might be a good time to mention that I have a Patreon. It's what allows me to make these stupid videos. It's only $2 a month. And, I think I need to buy a new trash can. So, I need a doubled-in head unit with CarPlay and a backup camera. $4 at Best Buy would set me up, but that's a boring video. What if we find one that has all of those features on Temu for 10% of that price? How bad could it be? Mission complete. I don't feel totally safe shopping on Temu, but I figure the People's Republic probably already harvested all of my useful information. From my security camera, my 3D printer, my everything else. In for a penny, in for an RMB. I bring you this doubled-in touchscreen CarPlay Android Auto with backup camera made by China. Made by China. I reserve the white glove treatment only for the finest and most sensitive pieces of electronic equipment. We've got our allegedly IP68 rated backup camera and complete wiring harness. A 75-cent value right there. A toddler-sized shoehorn, a nice touch. Sick of helping those damn kids get their footies in their booties. Both adapter harnesses use the standard AV color scheme. Mounting brackets. And a free CR2032 battery inside a disposable plastic housing that looks suspiciously like a remote. Seriously. Who uses those? I'm going to skip the microphone. I have a T-top Trans Am, and therefore don't need to be bothered with constant phone calls while I'm cruising around crushing puss. Though I am technically married. She's going to want to be able to reach me. Here's the meat and potatoes. $40, son. Light, too. No quality-enhancing weights added. Wiring diagram printed right on it, along with a bunch of counterfeit QC labels. A nice touch. The whole thing is just cheap plastic held together with #1 Phillips. I'm going to go Richard Nixon on this Chinese mystery box. No annoying clips to break or glue to wrestle with. I hate these stupid locking ribbon cables. They're as confidence-inspiring as those off-brand Dollar General contraceptives. Someone do me a favor and take note of the orientation so I don't plug these back in wrongly. I get they're compact, but they're just so delicate and easy to tear. It's not like there's not room in here for a beefier connector. Though, on the bright side, you could hide a lot from your wife inside this little box. She'll never know. Here's what you get in your, surprisingly, aluminum enclosure. That's a 64-bit processor for handling communication, video and audio processing, and basically everything that makes this do head unit things. This is a generic integrated Wi-Fi board, which I will not be utilizing, as my frogs are plenty gay enough, and I have no f***ing clue what that is. At least I'm honest. Let's pretend it's flash memory. And a Bluetooth antenna. This is what I was most interested in. According to Dr. Google, this is actually a pretty premium, super high-fidelity audio amplifier. No, it's not. But it is a modest, but honest, 25-watt by 4-channel amplifier, and if that thermal paste ever fails you, you can buy a new one on eBay for $2 and spend an hour soldering it in, or do the practical thing and buy another $40 radio. Here's the machine to monkey interface board. Some cheap-as-free sub-micro momentary push-button switches that provide great feedback and clean switching right up until they don't. And no special optical encoder here, just an off-the-shelf mechanical rotary encoder, and not much else. This connector handles your power and inputs, and this one handles your amplifier outputs. I should just need the switched 12 volts and the constant 12 volts and ground to fire this thing up on the bench and make sure it made the trip from Shenzhen intact before bolting it into the most American thing it's ever seen. Twist the yellow and the red together, and crap. Just in case that Power Wheels battery is dead. Yeah, it's drawing current. It's just nothing. You win this round, Temu. I installed every single ribbon cable upside down. You win this round, Temu. Hey! It's scanning. Uh-oh. Touchscreen's not responding. Oh, right. Forgot I was wearing gloves. Remind me to edit that out. It's shockingly responsive. Getting this installed isn't going to be easy. These cars were never designed to take a doubled-in head unit, and the interiors are quite challenging to get apart, so the old head unit wasn't even bolted in. The bar is low, people. Let's see if we can get under it. And now, this doubled-in unit should slip right in. Slip right in. slip right in. This raised plastic piece is in the way. Part of me wants to just cut some of the head unit's housing off to make it fit, but then again, what about the warranty? Of course, I had no choice but to cut off the wrong side, but fortunately, these are ribbing cables. So, perfectly symmetrical. All I gotta do is twist these around and pray that I don't break any of them. You don't have to grind any of this extra plastic off the mounting tab, unless you want your radio to fit, and then you do. Why do I look so yellow? Oh yeah, all those mangoes. There we go. The holes even line up. Now we just need a new radio surround. I think you know where we're going with this. Swifty. If any of you are concerned about me hacking up a classic original American car, don't. The seats are from a minivan. The steering wheel is from a Camaro. And check this out. Surprise, bitches. It's not even the right color. I've got the included camera wiring harness, which isn't that sketchy, fed through to the storage compartment. I need to tap into 12 volts to the reverse light to trigger and power the camera. The schematic says the light green wire is 12 volts, so I'm confused. Wait, why am I bleeding? Got a 50-50 shot here. Damn it. $50-50-90. If you know, you know. I do draw the line at drilling holes in my bumper for this. Ticket for driving with an obscured license plate incoming in 3, 2, 1. Let's go snake the wires to the front of the car. God damn it. All the wires have been run, and now I'm just going to be soldering like-to-like colors, so I'm not filming it. If you're the kind of person that likes to watch people solder to criticize their technique or the way they pronounce the word solder, here's a video that might be more your speed. Test the rear view camera. Oh my god. What was that? Sorry, I thought I saw something. It's like 2 a.m. I think it's time to pick this up in the morning. Installation is done. Now let's remove the protective plastic Oh. It boots up to the world's ugliest splash screen. But it connects to my phone right away with none of that plugging, unplugging, plugging it back in again, rebooting, and then unplugging it again. Even the crew is not worth getting demonetized over. The physical volume knob is a godsend. Try to find a CarPlay head unit from one of the established brands with an actual physical volume knob. Touchscreen knob combos seem to be a dying breed, and while you can find them, they're usually only on the pricey models. That one knob inspired this entire video. A simple eyes on the road press of the knob toggles between CarPlay and whatever other inputs you have. Even the headlight dimmer works perfectly. And here's your equalizer settings. I don't know anything about audio, so I just like to make a nice, happy, smiley face. It works good enough for me. This takes you to other settings, all very obvious. You can choose your own background and even import your own from a flash drive. It has all of the features you were expecting and none of the ones you weren't. When I was a younger man, I would have had this locked on red. But as I've matured, I find I prefer a nice, cool cyan. This thing is a damn good deal. The touchscreen is responsive, almost no lag. I assume the sound quality is not the best, but I'm driving an open-top 80s GM product with factory speakers, so damned if I can tell. Sure, the components are cheap and generic, but they're also ubiquitous and widely available if you're into fixing your own stuff. I don't expect this to last as long as the old JVC did, but it's packed with features and you can buy like 5 of them for the same price. And regardless of how well it's built, they're all going to be obsolete as progress marches onwards and forwards, and technology becomes outdated. The $1,800 factory head unit in my Pacifica is only 4 years old, and it's already becoming glitchy to the point of being unusable. Play Back in the USSR by the Beatles.
I couldn't find Back in the USSR by the Beatles in your Apple Music library.
What song is playing right now?
This is Back in the USSR by the Beatles.
Well, look at that. So, why bother? That's the summation of this video. Yes, you could spend more, but if you have a cheap car, why bother? Cheap works. Thanks for watching. I tell you one thing, you couldn't run over that Temu head unit like this. That's amazing. Also, unacceptable. What is happening right now? What the hell did they make these things out of? This is amazing. I can't kill it. I'm just gonna put it on a plinth, like the Toyota Hilux on Top Gear. Damn.